It's a versatile, high-yielding super crop. These days, palm oil is found in various products from shampoos to chocolate. It's also been touted as the greener alternative to fossil fuels. It's also a billion-dollar industry providing much-needed employment and national revenue. But critics say the expansion of palm oil plantations in Indonesia and Malaysia is having a devastating effect on the environment, wildlife and indigenous people. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we ask if the palm oil industry can strike a balance between environmental protection and profit.
When you bring Rocher, you bring the holidays with you. Ferrero Rocher, share the gift.
Today's consumers are continually bombarded by slick advertising, promising a better image, social standing or lifestyle. Often, commercials sell products without divulging too much information.
Wouldn't it be nice?
But one ad has customers thinking about their choices. This Greenpeace campaign shamed major food company Nestle into suspending business with Indonesia's major palm oil producing company, Sinar Mas. The ad came a year after a Greenpeace report accused Sinar Mas of using slash and burn tactics to clear forests and threatening endangered species, all in the name of profit. That report led to global corporate giants Unilever and Kraft to review their dealings with Sinar Mas. Environmentalists say the palm oil producing company should be setting an example for other producers in the region.
If the biggest companies can be sustainable, so the others will follow. But if the biggest cannot, what will happen with the others?
So you're trying to make an example of Sinar Mas?
Yes, of course. So that's why we keep pushing Sinar Mas. You're the biggest. You should be leading the example to show the government and also other stakeholders in the industries and the people that you can change and you can expand your business without destroying forests.
Sinar Mas's parent company, PT Smart, went into overdrive to counter the negative publicity, conducting their own investigations.
The allegation addressed to our company by Greenpeace is exaggerated or wrong. PT Smart not responsible on the destruction of the orangutan habitat. We care of orangutan. About the burning, the verification team reports that there is no proof that PT Smart using a fire in doing the new planting, as well as social conflict. The team did not find any conflict, any social conflict.
But such allegations against the palm oil industry are not new. It's Indonesia's single biggest export commodity, generating an annual revenue of about $13 billion and providing employment, particularly in rural communities. For some, such a thriving industry is an easy target for competitors.
Market share of the palm oil itu sekarang 33 sampai 34%.
The market sales of palm oil now stands at 33% to 34% worldwide, compared with soybean and rapeseed. Europe and America fear vegetable oil industries will be pushed out by the palm oil industry. This is the main reason for their negative campaigns, and they encourage the NGOs to attack the palm oil industry.
Such theories are difficult to verify, but on the ground the complaints against the major palm oil producers are very real. Supri Suryadi is a small plantation owner in the Sumatran province of Riau. He and 56 farmers leased out their land to a major palm oil corporation 10 years ago, but they are unhappy with the outcome.
We have a memorandum of understanding with the company. They promised that after 5 years of development, they will return our lands to us. But they are still here and are not giving us our share of the profits. We also found out they have also taken some of our lands illegally.
Supri says the government has intervened and is acting as moderator, but he is disappointed that nothing's been done yet to resolve the problem. Harian Shah Usman from the Indonesian Environmental Forum says indigenous rights are often overlooked in such land conflicts.
Hak-hak masyarakat asli tempatan ini yang sering.
The rights of native communities are often not recognized by the government. This is seen when the government allocates land concessions to the companies. But very often, these are lands belonging to the natives who have no say in the matter.
Indonesia's government admits there are problems in regulating the expansion of palm oil plantations. In an effort to address the issues, President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono has committed to a 2-year moratorium on forest clearing for economic development. The freeze starts next year and has been heralded as the best solution to stopping the environmental degradation. But there are concerns local governments may want to boost local budgets and not adhere to the moratorium.
Corruption and nepotism works its part, because most of these concessions are given by the local regency or probably also the governor of the area. So they are the ones who gave that concessions.
The government, on its part, recognizes the need to introduce more stringent regulations and says this will come as the industry evolves.
Our understanding about sustainability is growing every day. We increase our knowledge. Sometimes something that not yet considered to be bad practices in the past, now becoming something is not acceptable anymore. So we have to also to grow with it.
But observers say that while major palm oil corporations recognize the need for the industry to be more environmentally aware, real action is still lacking.
I think it's not under their concern this time. The concern is mostly on the price mechanism. The concern is whether the government putting another export tax or not. The concern is about the international price and so on. So it's still under the economic consideration only.
Experts say consumers are becoming more aware of their purchasing power. Alternative, environmentally friendly products are now easily available. Many say if palm oil producers don't take serious steps to make the industry sustainable, it's only a matter of time before they pay the price. This week, 101 East comes to you from a palm oil plantation in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as we discuss the social and environmental impact of the palm oil industry. Joining us now is Mahendra Siregar, who is Indonesia's Vice Minister for Trade.
Morning.
Also, Rike Netterstrom is the Acting Secretary General of the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, otherwise known as RSPO.
Morning.
And rounding up the panel, we have Busta Maita from Greenpeace Southeast Asia. Thank you very much for being with us today. Now, the palm oil industry has been accused of degrading the environment as well as grabbing land from indigenous people. Busta, if we could start with you, how bad is the situation?
Well, the first thing I would say the Greenpeace position is clearly saying that Greenpeace is not anti-palm oil. We recognize this commodity is very important, especially for Indonesian economy, and also important for the local people also. But what is happening, for example, in Papua, I just mentioned that we found that the big company destroying the sagu forest. The sagu forest is local food for the local people there, and very important food for them. And also, it's happening in Jambi, one of the province in the island of Sumatra. It's the conflict between the local people and the palm oil company. According to Sawit Watch data, from the until 2009, at least there is 579 conflict, and more or less is 500 conflict is about the land conflict.
Rike, I see you agreeing. You do say that there is a lot of problems in terms of land conflicts as well. Is that what you're agreeing to?
Well, there's no doubt that there are conflicts between local communities, palm oil companies. The Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil was set up exactly to try and find solutions between these groups, various NGOs such as WWF and Oxfam, and members of the industry to try and find solutions to these better ways of addressing conflict before they appear, not just trying to resolve them afterwards. So that's what we've been set up to do.
Mahendra, there's been a very negative picture that's been painted of the palm oil industry. Would you agree there is environmental degradation, land conflicts as well that's involved with the palm oil industry?
I think it's very clear that the challenges that the industry faces is very important to be addressed. But I think it's also important to put the bigger picture of the whole situation and challenge in that matter.
And what is the bigger picture?
It's the sustainability of the industry, it's sustainable development challenge. But if you look at the sustainable development principles, you have to understand it's a balance between environment and then community and of course economy and economic development. Then I think if we understand what we have to do is to promote the balance between these three, then we understand it's not for one party or the other party to win or lose. It's about everybody wins or everybody lose.
But the palm oil industry has been around for decades and decades now. Why hasn't there been a balance that's been struck so far?
Well, first of all, it's been providing jobs and livelihood to almost 6 million people in Indonesia in terms of smallholders, farmers, as well as workers. And 50% of palm oil industry in Indonesia are owned by smallholders. I think these are important facts. But at the same time, this is an economy that is growing 6% just to sustain the level of poverty and to address the issues of unemployment. So I think we have to, again, appreciate the big picture, but that should be given a lot of opportunities for us also to address this challenge together.
We're going to pause the discussion there for just a while. We'll take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll have more on the social as well as environmental impact of the palm oil industry. Stay with 101 East. Welcome back to 101 East. This week we come to you from a palm oil plantation in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as we discuss the social and environmental impact of the palm oil industry. Buster, I want to pick up on something that you said a little earlier on. Greenpeace says that they are not anti-palm oil industry, they're anti-deforestation. Your public campaign doesn't make any distinction between deforestation and the palm oil industry and the benefits that the palm oil industry gives to the local people. That's not very fair, is it?
The palm oil is important for the local people economy, but all the smallholders are also very depending of the big industry. They cannot process their own palm oil. All of the production from their plantation is sending to the big industry, and we see also some trend also when the palm oil price in the international market is going high. The price is going high. It's not automatically the palm oil price in the smallholder is going high. If there is a big benefit to the big industry, we want to see also the big benefit also to the local people. And why palm oil? Because the demand of the palm oil in the international market is increased very high, and this is also affecting of the land grabbing by the industry also.
I want to throw this question to Ricky. Ricky, who are the main culprits when it comes to environmental degradation here? Buster mentioned the major corporations because of the price hikes, but what about the small plantation holders? Do they contribute to environmental degradation as well?
Well, what we see is that palm oil is at the moment developed a bit all over the place, sometimes in areas where it shouldn't be developed, sometimes in areas where there's already degraded land, whether it's big plantations or small. What we would really like to see is much more focus on where do you start your palm oil plantations. If you're going to grow, if you're going to develop new areas, use the land that's already been locked over. There is a lot of land all over the world that has been locked over before, that has been used for other agricultural purposes. Of course, it shouldn't be community land or land that people have a use for their livelihood, be it sago or other things. I think pointing fingers is absolutely not the right way to go.
Well,
but
Mahendra,
to really set out clear rules, you know, what's good land to grow on.
Mahendra, how difficult is it to monitor and to regulate the palm oil industry, especially when it comes to developing palm oil plantations, expansions of the estates?
Well, first of all, in Indonesia, the size of the land used for plantation of palm oil is 7 million hectares. That in itself is a very huge area. So there should not be a misunderstanding that there are not cases happening here and there, of course. But having said that, I think it's important to understand that this is not about who win and who lose again. If we talk about sustainable development, if we talk about climate change, if we talk about environment, it's about the very important basic need for the people on the ground. So this is not just a matter of international issue. This is more the issue of the people concerned on the ground. And I think this is where we have to change the mindset. You cannot address the global issue by identifying who is the good guy and the bad guy without carrying out the whole thing.
But it's an age-old problem, isn't it? Is there a way to strike a balance, Ricky?
Well, I think we're seeing some of the major corporations are changing a lot. The leaders that we're seeing at the moment maybe can show other companies around the world how to do things right. There are good guys, there are bad guys, as Greenpeace pointed out as well. So it's about setting an example, finding solutions, showing that some of the actions that we've seen before need not happen, and that everything has to be done in consultation with the local communities so that we know people benefit. We don't just assume people benefit.
Buster, if you can just answer this question, what incentives do palm oil industry leaders have to, in terms of adhering to regulation and to legislation? Why should they? What benefit would they get?
We have a very big case in Indonesia. One of the big industry, one of the leading company of the palm oil, Sinarmas. They done their audit just released in Indonesia. What the auditor found in the field, at least 8 from the 11 company is audited by the control union and the BSI. 8 company have no environmental impact assessment when they do land clearing. They breaking the law. The auditor found that company also planting palm oil and destroying the pit more than 3 meters deep, breaking the law. The auditor found also the company is destroying high conservation value forests in Kalimantan. They're breaking the RSPO rule.
Okay, if that's the case, Mahendra, let me ask you this question. Why aren't these companies then being held accountable for their actions?
That particular company mentioned has just conducted voluntarily individual independent audit. And then
it's not very independent, is it?
It
because
is
they paid for their own research.
Even that they pay for their audit, the auditor is found they're breaking the law.
Will they be held accountable?
They acknowledge that there are problems, there are some issues that they did in the past. And then what also we welcome as a government, they put everything of this report in complete openly. So public can understand. So that's where we are now. And I don't think they are saying that they are perfect. And what is more important for me, for Indonesia, is that they are committed by 2015, not only SMART, but the whole group of Golden Agri will be RSPO certified, which I think since now there is no mandatory certification.
RSPO certification is not mandatory. 40% of the palm oil owners are members of your organization. Would you like to see the RSPO mandatory, membership to this organization mandatory, so that all palm oil plantation owners have to adhere to regulations?
I don't think that's possible. I think the reason we've been able to move so relatively fast and set the very high standards is because people have come into this willingly. Should it be mandatory? I don't think that's not the goal of the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. The Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil is there to continue to push the boundaries to make sure that palm oil can be sustainable in the future everywhere in the world.
I'm just going to have to round up this discussion now. My final question really is, and I'll start with you, Buster. Going forward, what do you think needs to happen in order for the palm oil industry to be able to find that happy medium between profits and environmental protection?
Like I mentioned, we're doing the forest campaign for many years, and we hear a lot of promise already mentioned from the company and also from the government. But it's very little happen. We want the company is committed and implement that they will not destroying any single forest and peatland anymore and respect the local community. And I think that's the strong indicator when we say that company is responsible and sustainable. RSPO, one of the problems with RSPO is that the RSPO is not monitoring what their member is doing. We're asking RSPO to deleting the all member who's still doing deforestation because that member is breaking the RSPO rules.
And well, let's throw that to Reke now. Reke, what is your response to that?
Well, some of these cases that we're talking about have only just finished their review, and we now have NGOs and community groups looking at that case to see what should be done about these particular cases. It's also a question of giving people some time to make sure that we actually do the right findings. You know, we are not a campaigning organization, but a multi-stakeholder roundtable. We have to listen to what the various members.
So I'm challenged the RSPO, if the RSPO credible enough, let's announce who's the company members by RSPO doing deforestation in the next General Assembly in Jakarta. So,
can we get that from the RSPO?
I think we would have to talk to WWF and Oxfam and the other organizations that are part of this.
Well, let me then just ask you the question. Do you think there can be a happy medium between profits and environmental protection?
I think, and the RSPO is founded on the whole idea that good, responsible, sustainable palm oil is also profitable palm oil. Destroying environmental values, destroying community rights is not good for anyone, and we do not want to see that.
Mahendra.
Palm oil is here to stay. I think that's final. And the only way ahead is sustainability, and that's also final. It's not an option, it's a must. And despite or while we are still discussing about what is best or what is doable, for Indonesia it's very clear. This is the livelihood of 6 million people in Indonesia, so sustainability, palm oil is a must, and we are going to apply Indonesian sustainable palm oil as a mandatory as soon as possible.
We're going to have to wrap up the debate right there. Thank you very much for your time. That brings us to the end of this edition of 101 East. You can always follow the program on our website, our Facebook, as well as podcasts. From the team here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, thanks for watching.